I'd loosely kind of designed this, the sort of 4 chapters around 4 very particular themes. So the first was around the kind of contents that are usually hidden within the kind of shipping of these materials. Then the second is about the kind of unveiling of the processes. The third is around model collapse. And finally, the fourth is about how it's all stored. One of the things about generative AI and the way that we're sort of presented with images as outputs of text to image, often we're given kind of 4 choices to choose from. I sort of thought about how one might apply that to a curatorial process and think, well, rather than making this kind of project that might tour from space to space, maybe this is something that could be, a variation on itself. So each variation focuses on a kind of different area of the processes that I'm investigating. So for example, I'm looking at extractive processes from the geological right through to sort of data mining. Here we're presented with sort of fragmented images where everything starts to become unstable and starts to collapse a little bit. And it feels like we're entering the space of this sort of system of machine learning more significantly. What I wanted to evoke is this sort of feeling of a studio kind of in flux, a place where images are being made, but also it seems to be kind of in ruin as well at the same time. Audience interaction has been, really present in the first 2 variations. A big part of that is because there was an awareness of data being collected and of photographs being collected. So as soon as a camera is placed in front of you, of course there is some kind of participation from the audience. In model collapse, in V3, there isn't a camera, so there is going to be a different type of sort of engagement with the work. However, it does still have the reflective surfaces and the mirror wall. The data that I collected from V2, there was a real kind of mixture of, lots of people in the space, kind of fragmented bodies, a lot of sort of double images of people, because of course you get people looking at the work and you get their reflection, and that's sort of captured within one frame. The variations that came from that, gave me these quite interesting, quite kind of often quite ghostly or quite confused images. When I made the paintings, I then rephotographed them and took them back into sort of editing software and started to kind of play with them and layer them with the image, the original image that I'd given as the input, and allow parts of it to, to come back to the surface and parts of it to disappear, and the painting kind of takes over. I decided to kind of, take a photograph through this this kind of fake, weird camera that again doesn't make any sense, and just sort of insert myself into this AI-generated image. The whole idea of this project is trying to sort of artistically and materially sort of reenact as a way to sort of understand these processes, to slow them down, to insert myself into them, to sort of demystify them in lots of ways. If model collapse refers to the sort of technology starting to kind of pollute itself and not work, I want it to also reflect the material world, but of course it has material implications and environmental implications, and that also has a potential to collapse as well. So it's about, again, that duality and making connections both between the physical world and the geological, and what's happening within the kind of technological system itself. There's a lot of material ambition, I think, in what I'm trying to do, and particularly as we've entered the 3rd variation. So I think, that kind of dialogue between sort of technicians and fabricators, my own kind of artistic production and sort of conceptualization, and then the curatorial support from PhotoWorks and the photographer's gallery contributes to the way that the project is turning out. It's really quite a rare thing that you sort of propose something and have really no idea what the end project is going to look like. I think artistic play is something that is also a really important method in making work. So, it's not a science experiment. The process of the work becomes, the work itself, and that's what people encounter and see. They're not seeing end artistic products or the end of a project. They're seeing a project in flux and in motion.